Great, thank you so much. My name's Alex Dunlap. I think you've met Alex Hood before. I'm responsible for productivity applications here at AWS. Really excited to be here today and to learn a little bit more about how Asana is using AI to drive collaboration.
Hey, thanks for being here. Congratulations to AWS on this launch. Really exciting. So thankful to be part of it. And also thankful to be up here with you. We went to business school together, so our collaboration has met again.
Yeah, we actually met, I think during the pandemic on a call, and I said, I know that guy. So, it's great to be on stage, and we really appreciate the collaboration we've had with Asana. It's throughout this whole AppFabric project. It's really been great. Let's get started. To tee things up, I think by now everyone's familiar with Asana, but maybe just give a little bit of background about your product and your customers and what you're doing.
Yeah, sure. So Asana is an enterprise work management tool. And what that means is that in large companies, a lot of time is spent trying to figure out who's doing what by when. And a lot of time and energy is spent trying to track down the status and the information for you able to do your job well. Well, Asana is a solution where an organization can set its goals and priorities. Teams can then establish projects and workflows around getting those priorities done, and individuals have the context to be able to do their job really, really well. So we were able to do that because we have a unique back-end system, and it's borrowed from Facebook, from Meta. Our co-founder, Dustin Moskovitz, co-invented the social graph, and we have a work graph. The work graph is the single source of truth for how work gets done. It's a map of how work gets done in an organization. And often folks find that superior to spreadsheets and email and chat, which is how work is tracked today.
Great. So one of the interesting things that you all do is you study how folks are actually working in practice. Could you give a little bit of data and sort of what you're uncovering in your research?
Sure, yeah. And if you missed it, Dr. Rebecca Hines partnered with Fede and the AWS team to share a bunch of research that we've been co-authoring with AWS. But the types of things that we study is what holds organizations back from real decent collaboration. The average knowledge worker could save close to 5 hours by just like tweaking processes. And that processes means workflows, it means how projects actually get done, and that's exasperated by the tools. So what we learned is that number goes up with the more applications that you have to use in a given day. So there's definitely a gap in the market for applications that better sync, for individuals that have to feel like they have to switch between things in order to get their job done really well. At this point, as far as along as we are with the technology we've all invented, individuals should just be able to be in the place where they need to do the work and have the context to be able to do their job really well. Yeah, so I had mentioned the work graph data model, so I just wanted to expand on that just a little bit here. The work graph data model is that single source of truth of how work gets done in an organization. And it connects the top level goals of an organization, like an OKR or a goal set, with the projects and workflows, and then the tasks and the subtasks, and the people and the agenda items, and the linked documents, and the chats in Slack all together in a single source of truth. And if you just click over to the next chart here, Amazon is a big customer of Asana. In fact, I would like to say that AppFabric was partially built using a project in Asana, which is pretty cool. But take a look at the work graph of Amazon, right? So in 2021, we were just getting started working together. Some various teams were trying us out. 2022, you can see more teams with their work interlinked. Right? And that's really the nature of cross-functional work. Work is interlinked with dependencies. But there's still some silos out there, and that's where you can almost put you can have empathy for those teams that are siloed and out in the outer parts of the orbit. Now, the graph at Amazon is more interlinked than ever, meaning that single source of truth is even more powerful across an organization. And I know we're going to get to it, but I just can't help myself. that interlinking is a really amazing tool, foundation for AI going forward.
We totally agree. And this is one of the things that we really brought into AppFabric. We think that, first of all, as Fede talked about in the last session, meeting customers where they are is one of the really most important tenets that we're building on. So taking data from throughout the work, but then bringing it to bear in the applications that users are using day to day so they don't have to context switch, that's very important. Second is that employees really do prefer purpose-built tools. And so being able to use the right tool at the hand for the job is very important. And then security, as we talked about, is really our first priority. So being able to operate securely. This is why we started with observability. Really that's job one, making sure we understand how users are using SaaS applications and as an input to security decisions. So you put this all together, and we're pretty excited that AppFabric, and then more importantly, the data that it connects, the apps that, the SaaS apps that exist, really will form a foundation for better productivity by improved interoperability. Let's look a little bit at sort of AI in particular. There we go.
Yeah, it's exciting to think about the next topic here. And wow, even just in the last 6 months, it's sort of like AI had its big party. It had its IPO, if you will. Now there'll be many IPOs to come for AI, don't get me wrong. But it's so much newness with the productization of these LLMs and bringing those to bear. At Asana, that work graph we set up from the beginning to be able to capitalize on a moment like this. And I know AWS has been focused on this forever.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit later, but really, if you go back to the early days of the Amazon retail page, customers who bought this also like to bought that. That's artificial intelligence.
Right.
That's personalization. That's all of the things that are now getting way more powerful with LLMs, but it really builds on a foundation that we've been working on for decades here at Amazon.
Yeah, and our foundation as well is being capitalized. If you just click to the next slide. That work graph now can have AI add to it, so it can fill in blank spots. It can generate new status reports based on other nodes inside the work graph. Because the graph itself is the interlinked information about work, all those linkages, like those lines, the relationships there are actually measurements that tell you how closely linked work is. And the definition of machine learning is using the relationship between data to create prediction. So because we have the relationship between data, between how two different teams are working together or not working together, that allows us strong predictive value for AI that we're super excited to be working on and be working on with AWS.
Yeah, we're excited too. If you think about sort of generative AI and the progression, as I mentioned, this builds on stuff we've done for decades here at Amazon. The other thing I'll add here is that AI is only going to be as good as the data that you put into it. And so being able to bring data sources like Asana into Bedrock and other AI frameworks really makes it more useful for our customers. Let's go on. And let's do a little bit more on the vision for Asana and intelligence.
Yeah, well, we're excited about this new chapter, particularly with LLMs. You think about a tool that has the information about how work gets done in an organization. There's three amazing opportunities. The first one is personal impact. So you can go from a place for spending a lot of time in your day hunting around for the information you need to do to be able to do a good job, and go to a place where that information is being served up to you on a platter, based on how you learn, based on how you contribute to the goals of your organization. Number two, it can make you more decisive. And that is by Asana itself shifting from a tool that tracks the how, tracks the project, to being a system where you are actually creating progress itself. And we do that by Asana can start to break down the work into its various pieces. And Asana can help break down decisions into its various pieces. That's one thing that consultants do really well, right? So I don't think you'll be able to put into Asana like, hey, help me make more revenue. But you could say, how might we make more revenue? And it'll break it down. And you can interrogate the data that is across your stack inside Asana. The third piece here is agility. We spend an inordinate amount of time, 1.25 billion information workers on this earth, coordinating amongst us. And now bots have joined the team. So what does that mean? Asana has the opportunity to become the new interface for how teams and bots work together now that bots have joined the party. And that is going to be totally new. I think we spend a lot of time in applications where you've got a blank screen. I think there'll be no more blank screens. There'll be content generated, and then teams will have to decide what they're going to do about it, and then collectively prompt and reprompt AI to get a better solution.
That's super exciting. Let's do a sort of imagine if, and this is I think an extension of some of the stuff that we showed earlier this morning. But what we want to show is how AWS and Asana together could take the work graph, make it more valuable by incorporating other data sources from other ISVs in AppFabric. I think it's a good imagine if moment.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's do it. A lot of the things, you all saw the graphic of AppFabric, and it's got these 17 different tools that are now tied together. That's 16 different times you don't have to switch to a different application. So by actually, by knowing what you need to get done in a day, and then actually AppFabric with its intelligence synthesizing what you need to know to be able to do that well. By AppFabric looking at your calendar and figuring out what you need to do to be well prepared to give your best contribution. That's a step forward. And then I'm excited about the demo we saw earlier, AppFabric sitting in on your Zoom call and making your Zoom call very accountable by tracking the action items so that it's not sort of like what happens in meetings stays in meetings and the real accountability is in email because it's written down. Now meetings can be just as accountable as everything else.
That's a pretty cool way of thinking about it.
Yeah, so let's show a demo.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, the tee up here is that this is Asana, if you haven't seen it before, and this is your home screen in Asana. So down here on the left, you'd have your tasks and your inbox, and then you're reporting against projects and your company's goals and how you relate to them. But this is your home screen here. So if you were to click, what we've got here on the left-hand side is a new widget called Important Updates. Now keep in mind, Asana knows your personal goals. It knows how the stuff you're working on relates to the broader organization and what your team needs from you. This is real AI-driven insights across all the different tools that you use that are connected into Fabric that are pulled together based on what your organization needs from you based on the workflows that you're connected to, the projects you're connected to, and the goals you're connected to. And what's cool is that all those deep link into the underlying application so that you can go in there and see what you need. You can even take a next action, which is suggested, and the next action is teed up inside from AppFabric inside the relevant tool that pulls the information and the intelligence is generated through AppFabric. So an example of a lot less switching around, a lot less hunting and pecking, looking for the information you need and actually able to get a lot more done.
That's super useful. I love how it just brings the right information to the user's fingertips, right where they already are.
Yeah. So what's exciting is a real connection between these applications can solve a giant problem for how we work. And by combining the power of a content set of applications, communication applications, and the plan of record. It's like 1 + 1 + 1 = 5, as long as you don't have to switch between those three sets of things. So let's show the other demo.
Sure, let's go ahead. So demo 2.
All right, so tee up here is now right-hand side. Asana and Fabric can look at your calendar and know what you are responsible for today. And then tee up, looking across the applications that you use, the relevant information, the relevant summary, in order for you to be able to contribute your best, do your best job in those instances. So instead of maybe having to get in early and doing a lot of hunting in a way that's disorganized in the morning, at least for me, this is a helper to be effective in the shared time you have with folks. So just click in here, looking at your calendar, seeing the summary of what the meeting is about. That's pulled from agenda items inside of Asana, also from calendar invites. And then the relevant information that you actually need to prepare yourself for that well. So here you'd click on this and it links you back to an Asana task that's got the relevant context that makes the most sense for you to be able to understand what this meeting's about.
That's pretty cool, and I've certainly been in situations where I've seen things on my calendar and not necessarily known what they're all about just from the description. So having something that could bring information from calendar and Asana and messaging and email all together in one place is something I look forward to.
Yep, right.
So it's very exciting. Before we start wrapping up, are there other things you're excited about applying Asana and AppFabric together that we should call out for the audience?
Yeah, well, I mentioned that I was just in love with that Zoom demo, and it's like working code. It's not even really just a demo. But I'm also just excited about how AppFabric, I know there's a lot of progress on the security side and the provisioning side and the IT side, which is an enabler, but from a customer experience side, for us trying to get work done, it's an amazing new tool because it pulls in from all the various parts of your SaaS world, which has sprawled over time, and pulls it into where you are tracking your work so that you can do a really great job. So that's really exciting for me.
Yeah, we're excited as well. I think that we started with observability, which is a hard word to say, but a very important concept. And it's going to be exciting to see how these connections between ISV apps come together to provide more value to IT, to security, and ultimately to end users, making them more productive. We're excited. And so, again, I wanted to, we're early on here, so feedback from ISVs like Asana and, all the other folks who have been involved with this project is really important. We want to thank you sincerely for being so collaborative as we've gone down this journey. And we look forward to seeing what customers and partners will do with this product. So it's a very exciting time.
Pleasure. Thanks for bringing it to life.
Absolutely.